Hi, everybody. Welcome to the weekly wind down. I am Caitlin of the Crown Fox, where I spend my days working as a graphic design assistant to creative entrepreneurs. Welcome to the weekly wind down. This is where we talk about basically everything about building an online business that fits your needs and wants and best ways of working, getting in the right mindset for growth and for success, and all of the other nitty-gritty things that come with being your own boss, hence why we need wine. This week, we're talking about schedule management, and I'm going over 6 rules to managing your schedule. And I don't say rules lightly because I am not one to tell you you have to do something. I'm more of the learn from my experience kind of person, but these are important, so I'm calling them rules. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether you're here live or you're watching the replay on Facebook or YouTube. I am happy to have you. So over the last few weeks, we've been doing this for about 4 weeks now. Over the last few weeks, we've talked about the idea of scheduling in some sort of way, but I haven't really dove into what it really looks like to manage your schedule, especially when you have a lot going on. And if you're running an online business, I bet you have a lot going on. It is hands down one of the hardest parts of my business, and is the reason that I have, made mistakes in the past and not done well at consistently blogging or writing newsletters and things like that. But so to start, I guess I should say that over the course of the last year, the way I worked with clients really shifted. I became more like a member of their team versus just some kind of one-off project. And that really affected me on what I felt like or how I felt like I should be available to them. I felt very obliged to kind of drop everything if somebody needed something, or to work late, or to work on weekends, or miss social events, personally, to make sure that I was, always on call and available to them. And all of that was basically disregarding things that I kind of knew, deep down, and I knew well enough to put in my contract about, turnaround times and scheduling. I just really wanted to kind of go above and beyond. And that's a good idea in some respects, but another, I guess, opportunity to kind of learn from my mistakes. So the biggest thing that I've kind of gained in this regard is that at the end of the day, you are in control of your schedule. You can and should set boundaries, and you can work on what you want to work on when you want to work on it. I think I said that right. We'll find out in the replay. So anyways, that was a big lesson that I had to learn over the course of last year, and something that near the end of 2017, I started kind of enforcing more strictly. And, since the start of 2018, I've been very diligent about. And it coincided kind of with some personal development that was going on too, me recognizing like, hey, I'm actually a good designer and I am helping these businesses, and kind of realizing my own worth. That helped me really step into a position to kind of stand my ground in a lot of ways. I should take a moment to apologize for doing this a lot. I got my hair cut, trimmed, not anything dramatic, and my bangs are different than how I normally do them, so they keep falling in my face. But anyways, so let's get started with the rules. Rule number 1 is to set established time blocks. So we talked about this a little bit earlier in the month, but I'm going to reiterate the concept and expound on it a little bit. So plan out your schedule for your week and block off times that kind of fit the general needs for your business. So that might look like Monday morning, you have a 2-hour creative brainstorming session, or content generating time, or writing time, or Friday afternoon, you take an hour for a reflection, or to go through and track your stats, or to balance your books if you're handling that on your own. Maybe you block off an hour in the middle of every day to like take a break and get up and walk around and stretch, or to like eat a healthy lunch or something. It's totally up to you, but it totally also needs to be like a non-negotiable. So I thought I would share some of my S just whistled. I thought I would share some of mine if you wanted some encouragement and some examples. So for my business, Monday mornings from 9 to 10 is blocked off, and that is CEO time. The tasks here generally vary, but I want to start my week doing something for my business, not for clients. Lately, that has looked like taking time for goal setting and setting intentions and kind of journalizing. I just made up a word, journaling and visualizing or journalizing the big picture for my business, because that's been something that I've been putting a lot of thought into recently. And I'll say, like, taking this devoted time for it has really been working. I've made some big steps and some big kind of discoveries as far as like what I want to do, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, etc. So that's what I use that time Monday morning for. It might be a good time for you to write a blog post or something like that if you need to devote special time to that. So that's Monday. Tuesday in the afternoon or evening from 4 to 5 is when I focus or have time set aside for content. I usually end up writing my content over the weekend. I enjoy writing, and during the weekend at some point, I'll feel like the most kind of relaxed and creative and kind of can just write naturally and not feel like forced or anything like that. But I do have time blocked off on Tuesday just in case I haven't written anything yet, and or if I need to like go through and edit or schedule the newsletter or create graphics or whatever, I have time set aside to do that, so I'm not panicking. Then Wednesday, I have blocked off time to do this, to go live. That's obviously a non-negotiable, because I want to be able to do these every week. I give myself a buffer beforehand so I can relax. Though today it was not time to relax. I was like scarfing down my salad. I was so hungry. Supposed to eat it later for dinner, but had to have it early. Thursday, I have a little bit of time in the morning, again, devoted kind of to content time. And that's for me to download this video, upload it to YouTube, create the graphics that are necessary for that, write the second newsletter that goes out, announcing that it's on YouTube and making a little freebie that goes with it, which if you're interested in getting those, you can sign up for the weekly wind down newsletter. But I do it Thursday. I don't leave it till Friday because Fridays can get a little bit crazy sometimes when people are realizing they need to get stuff done by the end of the week. So I like to have my stuff done in time. And then Friday afternoon, kind of at like close of business from 4 to 5, I do more CEO time, and that's kind of reflection, seeing what I got done, making sure I got everything that I needed to get done, kind of thinking ahead to the next week and writing out some stuff for that. And just like a little bit of time to kind of unwind, because some weeks are really low key and some weeks are super stressful. And I like to have time to sort of woosah before, going into whatever I'm doing that evening, personally, socially. So your blocks may be different, but it's really not a lot. It's just an hour or so a day that I have, blocked off. It's in my Google Calendar, it's in my paper planner, and I make a serious effort not to budge on what I'm doing at those times every week. It's important to have my time, and it's important for you to have your time to run a business, to operate your business, and not just be so stuck in, product creation or client work or something like that. And you might need more than I need. You might be, needing time to do social media and stuff like that if it's not, scheduled and automated or whatever. I'm sure for me later in the year, when I get closer to kind of launching new things, those times will probably expand because I'll need more time to like create those things. So that's rule 1. Rule 2 is to set established days for meetings. This is another one that I learned the hard way. So I mentioned this last week, I think. I really don't like meetings. I get kind of nervous if it's a new one. It really kind of breaks up a creative flow. If it's like a client meeting at a weird time in the middle of the day, I have to put makeup on, which I try to limit the amount of days I have to do that because I'm lazy. And it's not to sound ungrateful. It's just the truth. Like, meetings kind of are a disruptor in your day. So I try very hard to only take meetings on Mondays and Wednesdays. Mondays, when I made this decision, Mondays were just kind of already the established norm for some meetings, and Wednesdays I know I'm doing this, so I'm going to have myself all ready anyway, so it kind of made sense to put meetings on this day too. I'm pretty strict on this, and I recommend that you set your own boundaries and are strict on it too. Maybe yours aren't just 2 days, but maybe yours are just a block of hours within each day. Maybe it's just something in your morning so that you can work the rest of the day, or vice versa. But set something that makes sense for you and works for you. And, it took a while to like have this realization, but I think I'll explain it to you now and you'll have the same realization. A meeting isn't just the 15 minutes you're on the phone or the 30 minutes you're in the team meeting or whatever. You have to like prepare beforehand, and maybe that involves, setting up your lights and getting your microphone ready and all that stuff. Or sorry, I just signaled to my lights on my microphone, but you don't know that. Maybe it means, putting on makeup or getting out of your pajamas. Maybe it means kind of mentally preparing it, reviewing what you've done last week if you have to report it, etc. There's a lot more that goes around the meeting than the actual meeting time, and it really can pull you out of whatever you're working on and mess up a creative flow, especially if you're working on creative work, which I am most of the time. And I started to realize it takes me a long time because I'm, purposely not starting a big task prior to a meeting because I don't want to be interrupted. So then there's like these weird 30 to 45 minutes. I'm like, what should I be doing right now? I don't want to start something. So anyways, yeah, meetings, I limit them. Decide what's best for you. You should limit them also. Clearly there are going to be situations where you need to have wiggle room. If Oprah was like, hey, I want to meet with you on a Thursday, I'm going to figure that out. I'm going to meet with her on a Thursday. I'm not going to say, no, sorry, that doesn't work for me. But for the most case, the only things that I show that are available to people are Mondays and Wednesdays. And I'll be totally honest with you, it's a huge sigh of relief when I wake up on a Thursday and I'm just working. I know I can roll out of bed and start working. I know I don't need to do anything else and I won't have any distractions. It feels really, really good. So rule 3 is to use scheduling software. So that kind of enforces the first 2 rules. Use something like Calendly or Acuity. I never know if I actually say that right, Acuity, to schedule your appointments with people. It limits your time emailing back and forth and trying to figure out a time that works. And then you finally just get fed up and you say, whenever it works for you. Don't do that. Just be professional. Show your open times. I use the Calendly free version. It's free. It syncs with your Google Calendar. So, I have these times blocked off in Google so they don't even show up on Calendly for people. And I just repeat every week. It's set and done. I never have to touch it. If something is different in my schedule, if I'm, out of town or something on a Monday or a Wednesday, I'm updating that in my Google Calendar and it's automatically syncing to Calendly. So it's really easy. It's free. So that's what I recommend. Rule number 4, not 3, 4, is to elaborate on specifics, which this gets a little bit more specific. I think the first 3 rules were kind of general. This is more about when you're actually working with somebody. So I'm going to tell you a secret. When I started this kind of work and I was sending contracts over to people, I would send it over and I wouldn't really talk about any of the actual working relationship. I was just so nervous that something I was going to say or want or need was going to be upsetting to the potential client. And I didn't want them to question it. I just wanted them to be yes, let's work together and pay the deposit and everything like that. So I wouldn't really go into detail about my working hours or the best way to contact me because I didn't want to risk rocking the boat. So it did say it in my contract, but I never was bringing it up during the call beforehand. So over the course of a year of doing that, definitely bit me in the ass a few times. And I finally kind of made the decision no, I know that this is something I need to talk about. Obviously I know it is. I put it in my contract. I need to make it clear and kind of stand my ground and stick up for myself. So there's a very specific kind of checklist in my contract. And it's A, you cannot Facebook message me in 9 out of 10 times. We're also not going to be Facebook friends. There's pics of me in college in there. I don't need you to see that. And Facebook messages are A, I don't even like Facebook messages, period. But if anybody's going to use them, it's going to be personal friends, semi-distant relatives, or the people from high school that keep trying to sign you up for the latest MLM. That's who uses Facebook messages. I don't want to communicate client work or anything involving money or anything over that. That just seems weird to me. So I specify that. I specify my working hours. This one was an awkward one because people are all over the world that I work with. So it took a little bit of guts, but I finally got to the point where I said, it's 10 to 5 p.m. Eastern, period. And I'll say, I recognize that you're in California or that you're in Europe or whatever. But last minute on a Friday to you is my Friday night. So 10 to 5 Eastern, otherwise I'll get to it on Monday. And you should set those parameters too. You shouldn't be getting an email while you're eating dinner and feel you need to go do something right away. No, you shouldn't do that. So that's on my checklist. My other checklist is that phone calls have to be pre-scheduled. Most of my clients and most of people I work with and do any kind of collaborations with at this point don't have my phone number, but in the beginning I did give it out because we would have our initial calls over the phone. So I've had to establish, like, should you just call me randomly? Like, I'm not going to answer. Like, please don't have your feelings hurt. I also don't answer when, like, my grandparents call me randomly. Like, talking on the phone is, I'm a millennial. Like, talking on the phone is a big deal for me. Like, I need to prepare for it. I need to be, like, sitting down. I need headphones. Like, so yeah, phone calls have to be pre-scheduled. And then the last one that I get kind of strict about is turnaround time for projects. And this is big for me in the way that I work. I have now pointed out or started pointing out that for most of my kind of normal everyday projects that I do for a client, the standard time is 3 days turnaround. For anything larger, we'll discuss at the time of assignment. I do make a point to, like, be nice at this point in the call. I'm trying to be nice and charming the whole time on the call, but I make a specific point there to say, I understand that emergencies happen. Like, I run a business too. I get that things come up. I do go out of my way to, provide for my clients when they need something like that. But if it is a consistent issue, we'll have to start discussing rush fees. And clients usually understand rush fees and don't want rush fees. So they get better at assigning things with a good amount of time beforehand. So my point here is, like, you don't have to be like this mean person, like, going over all your contract on the phone if that feels weird to you. But, like, you should have boundaries, and you should tell people your boundaries so that there's no question of, like, what's going on or how to communicate or what's best or what's appropriate. And honestly, I've never had anybody even raise an eyebrow to any of these points. In fact, I think it kind of puts you more in an authority position, in a confident position, saying, like, hey, I'm a professional. I have experience running this as a business. This is a real business. And you, the paying client, should respect that. Like, look at how professional I'm being right now. Like, we have rules. Like, so does, like, your tax guy and other things that you may consider more real. So yeah, I've learned to realize that it kind of comes across as, like, up leveling, like a more legit thing. So continuing on, we just mentioned rule number 5, but rule number 5 is to actually charge rush fees. And I know that this is going a little bit off of scheduling, but it will help you manage your schedule in the long run because you won't overload yourself because, well, I'll get to it. So rush fees are another thing that I think put you in that category of being a real business, right? I guarantee you right now, if you were to go to, like, your local print shop and ask for an 8 by 10 foot banner tomorrow, they'd say no, or they'd say, we could probably swing it, but it's going to be a rush fee. And that's just the law of the land. Like, that's just how it happens. And you are a legit business owner. I am a legit business owner, and we have permission to treat our businesses the way that every other business out there does. Protect your time, protect your sanity, and if you want to do something and if you want to make that exception for somebody, then you should. But you should also charge a rush fee. If you don't charge the rush fee, that client, I swear to you, will continue to do everything last minute. They won't respect your time. And it'll just be one of those things that, 10 months down the road, you'll be like, man, I knew this was a red flag. Okay, well, like, nip it in the bud right now. And you don't have to be mean. You don't have to be snappy. Sorry, my nose is running. It can simply be like, hey, yes, I can squeeze that in. It would be considered a rush project, so it'll be $200 for this one to get back to you by tomorrow. I'm going to wait for your confirmation before I get started, but I need to know by 5 p.m. tonight if we're going to make this work or not. And there you go. And if you don't want to do it, don't do it. But that's all there is to it, really. I mean, don't say, like, is that okay? Or could I charge you? Like, don't sound wish-washy. It's the truth. Like, I can do it. It is a rush. I'm pushing other people's work out of the way to get yours done. I need to compensate myself because I'm putting those working relationships at risk, or I'm staying up till midnight, or I'm flaking on my own needs. Like, I'm not going to be able to go and be social tonight like I plan to, or cook a good dinner for my kids, or whatever it might be in your case. And honestly, if it's not okay, like, they're going to answer you real quick because they're not going to want you to start on it. And if it is okay, they're also going to answer you real quick because they want you to get started on it. So either way, you'll have your answer quick and nobody will be upset with you. Rule number 6, getting to the end here, is that the final, I guess, rule really of managing your schedule and kind of avoiding overwhelm is the simplest sounding, but probably one of the harder ones to implement, is recognizing your self-worth and your worth as a business owner providing a service or product to people. You're awesome at what you do. People want to pay you for it. You do something for them that makes their lives and their businesses easier. And that's amazing. And you should be like grateful for that exchange. But at the end of the day, that exchange boils down to the fact that you are doing something. You are awesome. So if someone's going to walk all over you and have no time, or have no regard for your time or your schedule, it's just not a good fit. But you have to take action, set yourself up for the most kind of successful schedule and the best schedule that fits you. And you need to tell people what those kind of rules and boundaries are. Set the events in your calendar, commit to actually doing them when you say you're going to. I mean, there's a lot of things that go kind of underneath this idea that you are an awesome business owner. But at the end of the day, like, that's what it boils down to. Like, you're doing good things. You need to be able to do it without burning out and stressing out and feeling crazy and feeling disrespected by clients and by people that you're collaborating with. So set all these rules in place and abide by them, and make sure that you are announcing what they are to other people so that they can abide by them too. So that's it for me, really. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts on this subject are. What boundaries maybe you've put in place for your schedule, or what you do every week that's the same time every week. If you're watching this on Facebook or even on YouTube, I'd love for you to leave a comment so we can chat more about it. And if you liked this discussion, we do it every week. So you guys can sign up with the link below, or I think on Facebook it's technically up right now. And you can join us live on Wednesdays. Bring your own wine, of course. And that's it for me. Again, I am Caitlin of the Crown Fox, and I am so glad that you were here. Thanks.